Hey there, Stashers! Welcome to episode 53 of the CraftStash podcast. I'm your host, Kim. Hey there, Stashers! Welcome. Again, my name is Kim. Welcome to new viewers, existing viewers, and folks who have just stumbled upon us. You can find the podcast on the Ravelry group for the CraftStash podcast. You can find me on Twitter as Craoli. You can find me on Ravelry as a person under K-Star, or my website is craoli.com/CraftStash. And of course, there's a Blip channel where all of my longer episodes are posted. And if you follow me on Plurk, you know this already. Sorry, not that I sneeze. Sorry. Ooh, sorry about that. Yes, if you follow me on Plurk, you probably know that I've been doing a lot of mobile episodes recently from Rhinebeck. And if you're looking for those episodes, you can find them on YouTube. If you look for the CraftStash channel, or if you look for user Kstar98, that's me on YouTube. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Today I'm going to be talking a whole lot about stash. So there's going to be a what I'm stashing segment, there's going to be what I'm crafting segment, and there's going to be a little bit of getting nailed because I did do my nails recently. So let's get started, shall we? Yes, Rhinebeck, second year, woohoo! Terrible twos at Rhinebeck this year for me. Terrible as in terrific. I had set out to buy a spinning wheel, which you guys know if you've been watching for a little while, and I did that and so much more. I had a blast, blast, blast. Greg and I rented a car and we drove up to Poughkeepsie on Friday. We picked up a friend of ours who lives in Brooklyn and we made a little bit of a road trip out of it. We stayed with our friends who live in Poughkeepsie, as I mentioned, and then on Saturday morning I drove up to Rhinebeck all by my lonesome because I didn't want them slowing me down because I had a bit of a three-part mission for Saturday morning. I wanted to get my spinning wheel, I wanted to stop by the Jenny the Potter booth, and I wanted to stop by the Cephalopod Yarns booth. I did that Saturday morning. I took a couple of quick videos and put them on YouTube of that podcast, so if you're in the mood for kind of like an on-the-ground, at-the-scene view of what it's like at Rhinebeck, you should check out those videos on my YouTube. I'll put them in the show notes for this show as well, just in case you didn't get a chance to see them. And I had a blast. It was such a good time. Driving up to Rhinebeck was a little bit hectic because I had taken a half day on Friday and I was packing last minute. I actually took a little bit of video like as I was getting ready to go out, and a little bit of video on the drive through Brooklyn, which is always crazy. I grew up in Brooklyn and I happened to be driving through the parts of Brooklyn that I grew up in, and it was almost surreal to be, you know, my age in a car driving through places that I remember walking down the streets as a kid having an icicle in the 80s. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun, but it was frustrating because driving in Brooklyn is crazy. I highly don't advise it. And then, you know, I got to contrast that with driving along the interstate highways and through the lovely Taconic Parkway or highway up in mid-upstate New York, mid-state New York, and up until Poughkeepsie and Rhinebeck. And it was lovely. It was really, really great. Saturday afternoon, after I had done my frenzied shopping morning, I met up with the people that we were staying with along with Greg, and we just kind of wandered the fairgrounds, and it was, I had to kind of calm myself down several times. I don't know if you're like me, but when you are very excited and anxious about something, or when I'm very excited about and anxious about something, I get a lot of stress in my neck about it. Like it's almost like Christmas, but in a stressful way, like wanting to get to the booths and stand in lines and kind of strategizing about what kind of wheel I wanted and what kind of accessories. And yes, I'm talking about buying yarn, people. I understand. It was so much fun, but I was a little bit keyed up about it because I have been waiting to buy a wheel for almost a year now, ever since last year when I went to Rhinebeck, and last year when I went to Stitches East and I bought my first bump of fiber. In the back of my mind, I was like, I want a wheel, I want a wheel. And I forced myself to wait a year to get better at spindle spinning, which I have gotten better at. I'm not an expert or anything yet at it, but I was kind of just like so anxious after a year of build-up that, you know, that Saturday morning, I was a little bit stressed out. So after I had actually purchased the wheel and some fiber to go with it, I still needed to kind of like calm down. So as I was getting together with my friends and with Greg, I kept having to say, okay, breathe, it's done. Which is actually a little sad that, you know, I get that anxious about that kind of thing. But that being said, I had a blast. Saturday afternoon, I wandered over to the big hill where there was a Ravelry meetup. I actually missed the Ravelry meetup, and I made it in time for the podcaster meetup, which was a lot of fun. A lot of these ladies and gentlemen I had met at SSK. A lot of them I just know from watching them on television. From watching them on their podcasts and listening to them from iTunes and Blip. And it was just really good to have seen people that I've seen there before and take pictures with everyone and gather buttons. I'll put up a couple of pictures. And I won't name names because I took pictures with some people, not with other people. There was a huge group picture. Everyone that was there was lovely, and I very much enjoyed meeting everyone. So thank you so much to all the podcasters and all the podcast fans who came to the podcaster meetup at Rhinebeck. It was lovely to see everybody, and I hope we get to bump into each other again soon at another Fiber Festival, or if anybody's ever in the city, you know where to find me. And then the rest of the day, Saturday, we just kind of hung out. I am shocked and amazed that Greg and his friends stayed at the Fiber Festival all day with me, and they had a great time. We spent a lot of time in the wine and cheese area for sure, but we also just spent time wandering around the random, or not so random, fiber booths and yarn booths, and we spent a lot of time looking at the livestock, which is something I didn't do at all last year. Last year at Rhinebeck was my first year, and I had taken a class that day, so I shopped in the morning and then took a class in the afternoon about sweater fitting. And by the time I got out of that class, I had maybe an hour left in the marketplace, and I ran through to get a couple specific things and barely touched the wine and cheese room, and barely even realized that there were a lot of like animal events and displays and that kind of thing. So this year I kind of spent a lot of time with the sheep and the goats and the bunnies and the dogs and the crocodiles or baby alligators. I still don't remember if that was a baby crocodile or baby alligator. So my second mini episode that's posted on YouTube is all about me talking to animals. I think there's actually a point in one of the videos where I go, "Hey sheepy, sheepy, sheepy." Yeah, it got a little bit silly, but I had a good time. And I made out like a bandit, so let's go ahead and talk about Stash. I don't even know where to begin. I actually technically didn't buy that much Stash because, like I mentioned, I bought a spinning wheel, and I'm in love with it. I'm learning to play with it this morning. I was too tired over the weekend to play with it. Here's my new spinning wheel. I got a mini spinner from Hanson Crafts, and I just love that it comes, like, this is my wheel in this box that fits on the screen. I just think that's amazing. Yeah, so let's go ahead and see if I can show you what I have. I bought the wheel that comes with the woolly winder, and I got it in cherry wood. So here's one of my bobbins, and this is, you know, God, this is going to be embarrassing when I look at this in a couple of months, I hope, but this is me kind of playing around with putting fiber on the wheel and having it not totally fall apart and having a decent amount of twist. So that's one of my bobbins. But here's the pride and joy itself. That's my spinning wheel. So let's see if I remember all of these pieces. I don't. This is the Scotch tension knob. This is the speed knob to make it faster or slower. This is the on-off switch, and it also determines which way the spinning wheel turns, whether clockwise or counterclockwise. This is the flyer. This is the bobbin, obviously. Or maybe not obviously. I think that's the whole reason that I wanted to kind of buy this too, is I feel like there are so many of us podcasters who are really great about showing the finished objects and the works in progress of our wheels. I know that all of us have different kinds of wheels, And I kind of wish I got to see, you know, what a Lendrum looked like and what the different bits and pieces of them are. And granted, it's maybe because I don't watch every single podcast of every single podcaster, so I might have missed some here and there, but I wanted to try and like get super familiar with my wheel and have you guys see all of the different bits and pieces of the wheel itself as well. So that's kind of my aim in like holding this thing up and showing it to you. That and the fact that I'm holding a wheel in my hand is so awesome. It's so tiny. So yes, I probably will do a couple more episodes that are way more thorough and in-depth about like the anatomy of the Hansen Crafts mini spinner, but just the basics. This is my flyer with my woolly winder bobbin. The woolly winder bobbin is something that I wanted to get because it actually, as it's winding the yarn onto your bobbin, these little springs move back and forth pretty much automatically. I don't have to touch them. And A, I'm lazy, and B, I'm a beginner, but mostly because I'm lazy. I didn't want to have to kind of mess with the manual flyer. That is the other option on the Hansen mini spinner. It's basically very, very easy for you to kind of push the, I guess, the little eyelets up and down as you need to control how your yarn is being wound onto the bobbin so that it's wound on nice and evenly. It's not that hard to do, but I didn't want to have to do it, so hey, I don't have to do it. This is the drive band that turns the flyer back and forth. This is the other band that turns the bobbin back and forth. And between adjusting this tension, you can kind of determine the quote-unquote ratio that the bobbin spins when compared to the flyer. And again, I'm just learning this, so I'll get way more technical about it in further episodes, but those are the basics. This is the little fan that cools the motor off. This is the little pulley and wheel system that turns the flyer. And this right here is the orifice where the fiber goes in and turns into thread. And let's see if I can clip my finger around here. No, I can't. So can you see that's my finger poking out? So that's where the yarn goes in. So that's basically my spinning wheel. And it's about 4 pounds. It's super light and I love it. It comes with a lot of little accessories. It comes with a this is my version of the orifice hook, because as you can see, the orifice on this thing is curved, so a straight hook is not going to work for it. So I actually bought a straight hook that I have to try and return. That's because it's not going to work with this. So in order for me to kind of get fiber in and out of the flyer, I kind of pull it off of the bobbin, pull it through this first eyelet. If I could pull it through the first eyelet, pull it through the second eyelet. And now it's kind of ready to be fed into the orifice. And what I would do is take my little flexible orifice hook, push it through the orifice, and you see it poking out right here, and put my fiber onto it and pull it out. Let's see if this all works. Pull it out, and there's my fiber coming out of my orifice. So this is how I spin, and I hadn't spun that enough, so it all falls apart. But it's okay, because I'm learning. So me and the spinner are getting along pretty nicely. I spun a very little amount on this bobbin because I kind of want to get a full picture of start to finish, you know, doing singles, putting them onto different bobbins, and then plying it back onto the spinner before I kind of, I don't know, because I'm a project manager, I need to see things at the macro level and micro level almost all at the same time for me to really understand things and kind of see the future and troubleshoot before problems happen. So I want to get a good eye view of what it's like to put singles onto a bobbin. That's why I have very little of this stuff on here. I'm going to make a second really thin bobbin, and then I'm going to ply them together in a simple double ply, 2-ply, just to kind of see what the mechanics of spinning and plying are on this bad boy. So the yarn that I make is not going to be worth a salt, a lick of salt, but at least I'll know what the process is like from start to finish. So I'm really excited about that, and please, 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 I'm looking forward to me messing around with it, and I hope you guys are looking forward to seeing me mess around with it. And also, most importantly, looking forward to progress being made on my spinning. So that was my big purchase. That was my, I'm not going to be able to shop for a very long time kind of purchase, but you know, it was a year in the making, and I'm really, really excited about it. So let's talk about the fiber that I got to go along with this bad boy. I got lots and lots of fiber. And I wasn't kind of looking for super exotic fiber this time around. I just wanted to get fiber that was fun enough and inspiring enough for me to kind of be excited to spin with it. So to that effect, I bought some fiber to kind of just mess around with. I got 8 ounces of Corriedale for $20, says the sign on the bag. Let's see if I can remember who I bought this from. I bought this from Pucker Brush Farms. Let me just make sure. Yep, I bought this from Pucker Brush Farms, and it's 8 ounces of Corriedale, and it's still smelly. Smelly as in it smells like vinegar. So I should know. Maybe they Kool-Aid dyed this or acid dyed this, but it very heavily smells of vinegar. So there are about 40 of these little tufts in here, and I'm the one who went ahead and put them into little twist balls. So I have tons and tons of fiber to just kind of play around with, and you know me and my bright color loving self. I didn't want to buy just like plain undyed yarn fiber, which is usually the cheapest way to go, because it just wouldn't motivate me as I was learning to use my wheel. So Corriedale is a decent fiber with a decent staple length, and it drafts pretty nicely. So I think I will do some very good learning on my wheel with this stuff. So thank you to Pucker Brush Farms for giving me a bargain. Then I kind of started looking for fiber to really excite me and challenge me, but again, nothing too crazy. I got some fiber from Loop because they are amazing and wonderful. This particular bump is, I think it's merino, a little bit of, is it Cormo? I can't remember. It's merino something else and a little bit of Angelina, and it's in these lovely, lovely purple colorways. And again, I got this mostly because of the color, but also because I want to get really good at braiding fiber from bats versus top, and the different kind of formats and playing around with it. So this is going to really be motivating to me. I also got a custom mixed fiber, and this I have to apologize for because I'm showing you the top of my head, but also because I can't remember the name of the booth that I bought this from. There was a booth in one of the buildings that basically had a big wall of Corriedale. Corriedale was really, really popular. And you could basically go to each one of the bins and pull out as much fiber as you wanted in whatever colors that you wanted, and they had maybe 30 different colors. So I went ahead and picked 5 different colors to make my own little braid with, and they came loose. I learned to braid them this morning thanks to YouTube. So I got this lovely kind of creamy gray, this really fun purple right here, this deeper slate kind of gray, of course my teal, and this fun honey colored, wheat colored fiber, and I'm going to spin them in some sort of gradient. So it's going to be a lot of fun because, again, I'm hugely motivated by color, so I really wanted to get fiber, not necessarily for the challenge or for the feel of it, because I pretty much know the kinds of yarn that I like. I like springy, nice twist yarn, not anything too soft and slippery, not tons of alpaca, not tons of silk. So the Romneys and the Corriedales and the BFLs, the Blueface Listers, that's kind of the stuff that I like to spin with because it's springy and it's dependable and it's not super slippery and it's not super fuzzy. So these colors are going to motivate me, and I'm more excited about the color than the fiber for right now. So thank you to Unknown Vendor, who as soon as I find out your name, I will definitely post information because it was a great bargain and it was a lot of fun to pick my own colors. Then from there, I moved on and said, you know what? Someday soon, hopefully, I will want a bit of a challenge with spinning. So I went ahead and bought some fiber from Silver Moon Farm. They're based out of New York. It's an alpaca silk blend. I don't know if you guys can see that because the contrast is pretty high, sorry. So Silver Moon, it's 70/30 alpaca silk. And it's this really amazing, deep, deep nighttime shade of navies and deep grays and blues and a little bit of indigo, a teeny tiny bit of indigo. So it almost looks like a shiny denim. And You know, this is on the dark end for me in terms of my colors. I've been doing a lot of purples, and you know I always love blue teals. I never really do navies and blacks and stuff like that, so this is going to be a little bit of a stretch for me color-wise, but I mean, I hope you guys can see that the beautiful luster of this fiber, and it just drafts like so nicely. So this I'm going to kind of save until I get much better at spinning. It might even be something that I throw onto one of my spindles because it's just amazing. So it came in this loose kind of roll. So I wanted to quickly show you how I learned to braid fiber this morning from YouTube. The video that I saw advocated starting off with a slip knot, which, you know, I guess you definitely could start with a slip knot. I prefer not to because I don't want to knot my fabric at all. So I basically am taking the fiber in the roving, twisting it around my fingers. Let's see if I can do this right. Kind of making a fake loop and pulling it through. And once you have that first loop, you want to use your index finger and your thumb to kind of keep pulling through. You're doing, again, if you know how to crochet, it's basically making a chain, and you kind of just keep pulling it through the loops. I just learned how to chain ply, so it's basically the same concept. And depending on how tight you make the loops, take your index finger and thumb, widen the loop, pull the roving through, and do it again. Open up that loop with your index finger and your thumb, pull it through, open up the loop with your index finger and your thumb, pull it through, and that's how you make a braid. And you can see it's making a very loose, quick braid, but if I kind of concentrate and make it nice and tight, it'll be nice and compact. So I'm very excited about this fiber. It feels like a dream. It really feels amazingly soft, and I'm thinking it's going to halo, and I know it's going to shine between the alpaca and the silk, so I think it'll become a nice yarn someday. And I think that's all that I got in terms of fiber. Oh no, I'm lying to you. I got one more thing of fiber. Across the aisle from Loop was Into the World. And outside of Cephalopod, I didn't really have any vendors that I really, and Jenny the Potter, outside of those two, I didn't really have any vendors that I had to kind of go to. Loop was a nice to have, Into the World was a nice to have. After my kind of like go, get morning for my 3 kind of mission items, I wanted to like not have any agenda items. So it was nice that I had time to stop by Into the World and Loop. From Into the World, I got this very pretty braid of merino and silk, and it's called the Bird Girl colorway. This is about 4 ounces of it, and as you can see, it's my comfort zone colors all over again. It's the teals, it's the greens, and again this new kind of navy blue indigo color that I really love, and it's just pretty, and it's nice and compact, and I'm excited to work with it. So that is my fiber haul, and as I mentioned, I did get a little bit of yarn from Cephalopod. So I have been stalking Cephalopod for a very long time, and I wanted to kind of see it in person before actually buying it online. That and the colors that I wanted I could never ever find. This lovely thing right here is Skinny Bugga. Bugga is their super famous base. It's a really nice thick yarn, but this is superwash merino and cashmere and a little bit of nylon. This is their Skinny Bugga, so it's their fingering weight, and it's about 424 yards according to the, let me see if we can darken that for you, according to the label. They were very nice. The line was very long. This color is called Swallowtail, I want to say. No, it's called Spanish Shawl, but I'm calling it Lavender Honey because it's all these really nice shades of lilac and lavender with dots of gold and brown. So whatever I make out of this, it's going to be a beautiful shawl, and I'm calling it Lavender Honey. It's just too much, too much. And then the other things that I got from Cephalopod was some really fun sock yarn. I got, well actually this is DK. This is their Traveler base. It is just superwash merino. It's about 280 yards of it. This fun colorway is called St. Augustine. Let's see if we can get that label to show up. Yeah. And it's just, you know, again, my comfort zone colors. the greens, the golds, the blues. And it was really funny because as I was standing in line waiting for this stuff, it was a half-hour line. And everyone was kind of just like, this is so silly that we're standing in line for half an hour, but we got what we wanted, so the diehards kind of stuck to it. But it was really funny because as I was standing in line holding this and this, I was wearing yellow and brown that day. The woman next to me was standing in line with a red shirt on and like brown pants, and she had a red skein of yarn. The woman behind her was wearing a purple and pink sweater, and she had purple yarn in her hands. The woman behind her was wearing like this dusky blue and pale green, and sure enough, her yarn was like a slate gray and pale green. It was just really funny. At one point I wanted to take pictures of people in line with their yarn, because you have your comfort zone colors that you just kind of keep gravitating towards, and it's, you know, I was trying to break out of my comfort zone by wearing yellow that day and, you know, learning to love yellow, and I still kind of managed to do something where it was yellow and blue. And that's okay, because this is a hobby and we do it for fun, so whatever makes you happy, right? But I thought it was really funny that people were getting all of their comfort zone colors in line. And because I could not resist, whenever someone makes something really, really easy for me, I cannot resist. Cephalopod had a couple of these boxes of packs, like, you know, little kits. So this was their Earth Tones little kit. This is their Bugga Base, which is the really, really famous one. It's the Superwash Merino Cashmere Nylon blend, and it's a little bit of a heavier gauge. I don't have the label doesn't kind of give you the gauge information on here, but it's 4 ounces in 4 different colors. The colors are Chester Cricket. Let's see if I can figure out which is which. I'm assuming that this is I'm assuming this is Cricket, this is Bronze Moth, this is Killer Bee, and this is Bess. That doesn't really make sense. It doesn't tell you which is which, but whatever. This will be a very nice, fun, stripy cowl, so yeah. And it comes in a little box, so that makes me feel like it's worth the same exact price. Thank God they didn't charge you more for it, but it's nice to get 4 different colors for the price of 1 skein. So that's all the fiber that I got. Actually, that's all of the yarn stuff that I got. I'm smiling because I just have to show it to you. I don't know how to introduce this guy. It's a bunny head. It's a felted bunny head. That's all it is. It's a felted bunny head. It is made by the wonderful folks at Cottage on the Hudson Fiber Studio. They're based in, let's see, there's no address. They're based somewhere in the Hudson River Valley. And I watched the gentleman and his young daughter, teenage age daughter, felting these, and was kind of so amazed at the work that they were doing. I took a short video of it, and then I turned on the table and see this bunny head like laying flat like this, and Greg instantly goes, "You need that bunny head." And I was like, if you will buy it for me, I guess I do need that bunny head. So the whole day after I bought this, I was wearing him as a shawl pin on my, and I named him Baxter. He's just really, really cute. I'm not usually into felted animals, but because he looks more like a hare than a bunny, he's got a lot of character. I just was really, really excited to get this. It's all the little things at Rhinebeck, right? It's the kind of things that remind you this is really a festival about the outdoors and the animals that people used to work with and live with very, very closely. And now, you know, people like me who live in the city and who are in front of a computer all day, we know them very colloquially, but you know, I was staring at sheep all day and smelling sheep all day and getting little bits of sheep fiber stuck in my hair all day, and it was a welcome change. It was a welcome change. Yeah, and I think that's all of the stash that I got from Rhinebeck. I got myself another Jenny the Potter mug. I did not get there early enough to get one of her 2012 mugs, but that's okay. It wasn't meant to be. Maybe next year I will get there early enough in the morning to score one, but I'm very happy. This is going to be my second Jenny the Potter mug, and it matches perfectly with the first one that I have. My first one has a white sheep and a black sheep, so this one has a white sheep and a gray sheep with red yarn, so we have a match set, which is good enough for me. Yeah, so while I was at Rhinebeck, I was working on a couple of projects as well, and I talked about these briefly in the mini episodes that I posted, so just reach into my bag and see what progress that I've made. I recently told you guys about the square Cubics needles that I bought and that I have fallen in love with. They are super, super fast for me. These are size US size 1, which is a 2.5 millimeter needle. They come in a set of 5 and they're square. I don't know if you guys can tell. I have to get out of the camera. I don't know if you guys can tell that they're square. And they just hold the stitches a little bit tighter. Some people swear that they even out your gauge because of the hard edges on the needles. I just think that they hold my yarn much tighter than the round needles do, so I'm happy with that, and I go pretty quickly with them. I had been working on a pair of socks for Greg. I was using my one and only skein of 3U's Twisted in Fiber, which is in their Horton Hears a Who colorway. And I finished a sock. This is the fastest sock that I've ever made. It took me a week and a half. And these socks are for Greg, so that's why they're shaped funny, because Greg has very, very wide calves and broad feet. So I kind of just quickly increase right after I do the afterthought heel for him. And he tried them on and they fit very, very nicely. And they're going pretty quickly. I have to finish the other one pretty soon, and then I will do the toes, the heels, just basic afterthought heel, pick up around the edges and kind of work decreasing so that it ends up looking exactly like the toe, and then do my Kitchener stitch. So I finished one of those socks thanks to those fast needles. And I don't know if you guys remember, a week ago I showed you this tube that I purchased to hold the needles. All I did was have Greg cut, like use an X-Acto knife to cut a very wide slit in them. This way, as I'm working on the project, and I can show you here with another project of mine that are on the needles, I was really kind of freaked out about working with these needles on the train because I very often have to stop knitting and shove these things in my bag, and I don't want to do that because these are very thin needles, wooden needles. So with this, I can kind of just slip them in here and then kind of twist, and it holds on to the needles without them falling out and without it being a big deal. So that was a good little innovation. Someone actually posted on the Ravelry board that her significant other made a very similar thing for her by taking some metal piping and then putting chair ends on them to kind of basically do the same thing where you are cupping the needles while the work is still on it. So whatever works. I actually saw one at Rhinebeck that was lovely, and it was made out of wood, but it was $30, and I'll spend $30 for a skein of yarn, but for some reason I won't spend it on a tool. So yep, it is what it is. The other, and these are just, the socks that I'm working on for Greg are just basic vanilla toe-up socks. I cast on 28 stitches for the toes, increased to 30 stitches. No, so I cast on 28, 14 on each side, and then I increased to 30 on each side to go up to 60, and then I just work up and put an afterthought heel in after about 5-6 inches. And then I quickly increase up to 74 stitches for his calves, and then keep on going. So that's the basic sock recipe pattern for him. I haven't done a vanilla sock for myself in a very long time, so I don't know what my formula is going to be, but we'll figure it out very soon. And the other project that I was working on at Rhinebeck, I started that weekend. I'm making the Ramona Flowers gloves, which is a pattern by Susan Fowler, I want to say. No, Shannon Foss. I don't know why I said Susan Fowler. I'm making up names for people like I always do. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. It's the Ramona Flowers fingerless mitts based on the character Ramona Flowers in the awesome fun movie Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. The character named Ramona Flowers wears these really fun fingerless mitts. And the reason that I chose this pattern was because I was looking for top-down fingerless mitts, because I basically want to like make the mittens and just keep on knitting until I have to stop. Because I'm working them out of one ball of Knit Picks Essential, I don't want to have the ball and then do the math to figure out where I can stop the fingers. If I start from the bottom up, I want to be able to do the fingers and work down and then weigh the glove and then stop and then do the next one. So I'm making the fingers first. So that's why I chose the pattern. But then when I printed out the pattern, it is really great. It does this. The instructions are like step by step with photos, and then it has this little diagram of the fingers, and it has a space for you to put your own measurements in and your own gauge in. And I was able to print it out as a booklet at work. So I have my little, and I did the math to figure out, you know, if I'm working glove, that's 4 stitches to the inch versus 5 stitches to the inch, or 7 or 8 stitches to the inch, because the pattern is written for 6 stitches to the inch. So this is going to be my little fingerless glove Bible, because I'm always cold at work in the wintertime, so I want to have several different pairs of fingerless gloves. So this is going to be my go-to kit. That being said, as I mentioned, I'm working this first set of fingerless mittens in Knit Picks Essential in one of their brown fun kettle dyed colorways. I have to say, this yarn was, I got this yarn for free at the SSK Stash, and it's wonderful. I don't think people, a lot of dyers do a good job with brown yarns. Sometimes they come out orangey, sometimes they come out gray. I think brown is a really, it's got to be, in my opinion, the hardest color to kind of make fibers out of, because it always just looks kind of off, in my humble opinion. But Knit Picks has done a really great job of this brown. I'm just bringing the cephalopod back out because, again, they also do a really great job of the browns because they've got all of these varieties, but as you can see, all of their browns are really red. I think I'm okay with that, but I just like that this brown is more yellow-based or a cool brown. So I'm excited for these fingerless gloves because at work I don't really want to wear like hot pink neon green fingerless gloves, which I would totally do on the weekend, but you know, I want to keep it a little bit toned down, so I figure skin tone gloves would be great. And these are not exactly skin tone because I'm a little lighter than this, but the fact that they're brown I think is going to be less of a big deal than if I was wearing bright green fingerless mitts, which I happen to own. So I'm working these with some more DPNs, some more wooden DPNs from Knitter's Pride. These are their basic round ones, and these I think are size 2s, which are 2.75 millimeters. I actually already broke one of these, like I was paranoid about. I sat on one. Greg found the other end for me, thank goodness. My butt didn't find the other end, but I've already broken one. So that's kind of why I don't like DPNs, because they're super fragile and I'm super rough. But basically with the pattern you make your fingers. My gauge with this particular pattern happens to be 8 stitches to the inch. So you basically figure out, based on the pattern, you kind of figure out, I think most of the fingers are somewhere between 1.5 inches in circumference to 2.5 to 2.25 inches in circumference. So you basically do the math to figure out how many stitches to cast on. So these are my 2 thumbs. I've already made my 2 pinkies and my 2 ring fingers, and now I just have my 2 middle fingers, and I won't stick those up. But basically you make all of the fingers except for the index finger. You make the index finger last, and then you divide the stitches for each of the fingers, put them on your needles, and start knitting in the round to pick them all up, and then you just work your cuff down, and then you end up doing a gusset to pick up the thumb, and it's really pretty straightforward. So they're so much fun that if I make another set I might do a knit along for them because they're really easy. And that's kind of all that I'm working on. I feel like I had such a full weekend, and it was a lot of fun. It was strangely overwhelming, which is kind of silly for me, but I get keyed up really easily. And I think that's not all. It's plenty. It's plenty. And I'm just so happy that I was able to do it. I know I'm going to have a lean year next year, comparatively speaking, because, I mean, I did a lot. I did a lot. I went to a lot of fiber festivals, I bought a lot of yarn, and now that I have my spinning wheel and my spindles and lots of fiber, I'm set. So I will leave you with this. If you are part of our read-along, yay, how's the wool book doing? It's good, right? It's treating you good? I actually downloaded the audiobook version of it because I have already read the whole series, and I'm actually into the next book that's kind of a follow-up to the series, so it was actually hard for me to reread it and kind of pay attention. So I've downloaded the audiobook and been listening to that because I really want to read it along with you guys. So I will open up the thread for the second book very soon, but I want to make sure that we're all knee-deep into the first book. I really want to do a virtual craft night with you guys for the first book, so please hop on over to the Ravelry group and vote on which day that you guys want to do the read-along. Right now I've got, I think, Monday, November 5th. I can't do the 8th because I'm teaching a class. And then the Monday after that, and then the Thursday after that are the options for us to have a virtual knit night on Google Hangout for us to talk about the book and talk about what we're working on. So if you're in the group and if you're doing the read-along, please definitely vote on when a good day is for you. And other than that, I encourage you guys to keep knitting and keep spinning and keep crocheting and keep posting in the group. Oh, but I almost forgot. Sorry, I did tell you I was going to talk about my nails, so give me one sec. So it's been a little while since we've done a Getting Nailed segment, so my apologies for those of you guys who have been really clamoring for that stuff. Hopefully you've been doing your nails and posting pictures in the Ravelry group, because some of y'all have posted some really inspirational manicures. Someone got this amazing gel manicure that was, and if you don't want to know what a gel manicure is, it's basically artificial nails that they use some sort of gel polymer along with the nail polish because it sticks to your nails better and it lasts much longer, but then again it's not as toxic, as far as I know, as the acrylic nails. It doesn't smell as bad, but it lasts very long time, and they're able to do really fun effects like sparkles and that kind of thing. So someone in the Ravelry group got a very lovely manicure that was basically teal on top, which you know I love, with silver sparkle on the bottom, so it kind of like a silver, it looked like a silver sparkle bicycle, or one of those, you know, those amusement park rides that are the bumper cars, and it has that really cool reflective finish on the cars, that kind of like 1970s car paint effect. So much fun. So sorry for not kind of doing my nails more often, but because I was going to Rhinebeck, I really wanted to do it up in style, so I went ahead and did a Fall Festival pumpkin patch manicure complete with jack-o'-lanterns. So basically what I did is I had some orange fingernail polish on hand. I recently bought some dark green fingernail polish because I have acid green, but that wouldn't really work. So I painted some fingers orange and I painted some fingers green, just two of the green and then the rest orange. And then for the pumpkin effect, what I basically did was, let me just step back a little bit. What I basically did was do 2 coats of the orange. I have 2 different colors of orange. This is an actual, this orange is very pumpkin colored. It's from Joe Fresh, which is a clothing company in New York City, and the color is Pumpkin Citrouille. Don't know how to pronounce that second word, Pumpkin Citrouille. And the other orange that I had was Sally Hansen Hard as Nails in the Sun-Kissed color, which is a very bright and sunny, almost like Sunny Delight color. Very toxic orange almost. And I did a bottom coat of the brighter color and a top coat of the more pumpkin-y color, just to kind of give it some vibrancy underneath. And I let those dry. Then on top of those I have one of these nail art pens, which is basically nail polish in a felt tip marker. And they usually are really pretty crappy for drawing on your nails, but because I wanted really kind of not super clear, not super thick lines, they worked really nicely for the pumpkin skin. So I went ahead and quickly went over all of my nails, just doing like 3 or 4 lines per nail with the nail pen. And the last thing I did on them was I put on a clear coat of this really fun special effects nail polish by Nails Inc. This is their Wyndham colorway, which is kind of a, because I'm in the sunshine, it looks like neon yellow sparkle, but it's a clear nail polish with really thin kind of holographic glitter in it. So if, depending on the light, the colors are anywhere from this bright yellow that you're seeing on camera to like a neon green or even like a purplish pink sparkle. So I put those on top just to kind of give it a little bit of excitement. And then on the my thumbs, I took some black nail polish. This happens to be Wet n Wild Shine in just the black color. It's called Black Cream. And I thinned the nail polish on the brush really thin so that I could kind of like paint with them. And I did these really sloppy eyes and teeth at the bottom there with that nail polish. And then I went back over and added some white dots for teeth after the black dried. And then after that I came back in and did a couple of lines so that they look like pumpkins again. So that was the orange nails. For the green nails, again, I went to this clothing store, Joe Fresh, which if you're in the city, I forget which company owns it. I want to say it's Joe Fresh. It's not Target, it's not Banana Republic, it's not Old Navy, it's not The Gap. It might be, no, it's not J. Crew either. I can't remember. A friend of mine, Club Monaco, I want to say. It's one of those stores where they wanted to kind of appeal to people with less money and the same kind of style. So that's me. Yeah, anyway, they make nail polish and they come in really great colors. So this is Joe Fresh in the Moss Mousse color, which is a very mossy dark green, but it's not like black dark green. So I put on 2 coats of that onto my index finger and my ring finger. And then I have another nail art pen in a very bright green. This one actually sucks. It's a horrible, horrible thing. It does not work very well at all. Because as you can see, like the lines are just really thin, really watery. The color doesn't show up at all, but because I was trying to like do a vine effect, it didn't really matter. So I put that on as random lines, and then again I went back over with the Special Effects nail polish, and then I let it dry. And it's been 4 days, and they don't look so bad actually. 4 days of knitting and fondling fiber, and they don't look so bad. So that's my fun manicure for the month. I'm going to my friend's wedding in Cancun, and I'm gonna podcast from there. I hope. I will try. Most people don't podcast when they go on vacation, but I'm a little bit obsessed, so I'm gonna do it, and Greg's okay with it. So yeah, I'm excited to be all up in the crystal blue Caribbean Mexican waters. So I'll have a different manicure for the wedding, obviously. But, so, that's it. Is there any other random word that I could throw in? Yeah, ooh, okay. Sorry I do a lot of those in the podcast. It's basically filling space, which is bad, so I shall stop doing it. I had a great time chatting with you guys. Those of you guys who I did see at Rhinebeck, it was lovely seeing you guys. Those of you guys who couldn't make it, I hope that you had a chance to watch some of the mini episodes that I posted, because I really did that for folks that either had never been or couldn't go or whatever, because I definitely remember being on the other side of the fence when Rhinebeck was this big amazing thing that I couldn't get to, so I wanted to make sure that it felt like I was doing a, hey, this is what Rhinebeck is like, so hopefully that came across. And in the meantime, if you can't craft it, stash it. Cheers.